Hi everybody, this is Mr. Clark here. So we have to start doing our lessons at home. So I know that's a little inconvenient, so I'm going to start giving you some videos. I prefer you watch my videos than having to go online and search for somebody else's video. So I'm going to do my best here. So the first topic we're going to study a lot is polynomials. Everything we can do with them is very, very important when you go on to Algebra 2. So the first thing we're going to start with is just some basic terminology so that we can talk about them and look at their parts. So polynomials are made up of terms. I'm sure you all know that, and the term is a product of a number and of variables. So I've listed some terms here, so we can see that these are some terms. So we have 5x to the fifth, and we have a times c times b cubed. X by itself, that's just a term. Wow, so it's just 12. It's also a number, but it can be a separate term in a polynomial. Okay, and so it's x times y. We have multivariables inside the term, and minus 6. So what do? We connect the terms together with addition or subtraction, and we get a polynomial. Here's an example of a polynomial. So each one of these pieces, there's a term. Complicated, got 3 variables in it. That's a term. Importantly, the term also contains the number in front of it to the left and that sign. So this term here is negative 6x to the fourth. Don't forget those minuses. Okay? This term here is minus 4x to the fourth. So some of the simpler ones have some common names. So let's start off with the word monomial. Mono means one, so monomials have one term. And here are some examples. 5x, x cubed, and 10 is a monomial. So binomials, bi means 2. So binomials have 2 terms. So here's one, there's 2 terms, 5x plus 2, that's a binomial. X minus 3, that's a binomial. And x squared plus y squared, that is a binomial, because it has 2 terms. Trinomials, tri means 3, and so they have 3 terms. So here's an example of 3 terms. X squared minus 5x plus 2 is a trinomial. Y minus x minus 3, that's a trinomial. 2 variables in it, that's okay. X squared plus y squared plus z squared is a trinomial because it has 3 terms. All right, so a quick review. We're going to be studying polynomials. I'm going to go as far as I can in this section. So polynomials are made up of terms. So I listed some terms here. It's basically a number multiplied times variables. I mean, have more than one variable in there, all multiplied together. We connect them together like Legos with pluses and minuses, and we can get a polynomial. Poly means many. So here we have one here, and we have some common names. Monomials have 1 term, binomials have 2, and trinomials have 3. So we have to keep going here. So I've created a few more polynomials. These are a little more normal. They don't have the wild terms in them. They still have a few multivariable terms in here. So we need to now talk about the word degree. So the degree is the highest power or sum of powers of any individual term in that polynomial. So the degree is very important. It really helps describe the value of a polynomial when x gets very, very large. And so it's a very, very important property, let's call it, of a polynomial. So in the P1 up here, the degree is 5. Well, that's pretty easy. I can just go down the line here. What's the highest power here? The highest power is just 5. So the degree of P1 is 5. It's a little more tricky. What's the degree of P2? Well, you might think it's 8, but I had sum of powers here. So I have to add the 5 plus 4 together. They're in the same term. Well, that's 9 is greater than 8. So the degree of P2 is 9. Okay. The next term we have to learn about is the leading coefficient. So that's just the number that's next to the variable in the term that gives the degree. Okay, so in P1, let's see, the degree was 5. So this number right here, that minus 2, that is the leading coefficient. And in P2, the 8 was right next to that x to the 5th y to the 4th. Because that 4 plus 5 gave us the 9. So the 8 is the leading coefficient of those polynomials. So quick review, we have a couple more things we were trying to learn here. We were trying to learn about the degree, which is just really the highest power in that polynomial. So here it was 5. Here in the P2 is a little more tricky. We had to add the 5 and the 4 together to get the 9. Okay, so that's the degree of the polynomial. The leading coefficient was just that number that was right next to or included in that term that gave us the degree. So here was -2, and this one it was 8. So let's see if we have any more terminology we need to learn about. So we have the word term, and it's word term, and then we have term inside the polynomial. I've created a couple more polynomials. And so the last part of the polynomial we need to learn is this constant term. Constant term, it's pretty easy. It's just the number with no variable. It's easy. It's just like, wow, this one doesn't have a variable. That one doesn't have a variable. So those are the constant terms. So in P1, it's 13. In P2, the constant term is just 7. Okay? Kind of makes sense. It's constant. So as x changes, this part does not change. This does not affect the value of the polynomial as x changes. That's why it's called constant. All right, let's have a you try. Here's 4 here. I just have a piece of scratch paper. You can just see if you can do this real quick. I'll give you a few minutes, and we'll go over it, just see if you understood. So see if you can just take A and find me the degree, the leading coefficient, and the constant term. If you, it doesn't take too long. Oh, that was my Jeopardy. So let's see. All right, so it's not too difficult. The highest power here is 3. That's the degree. What's the number next to that one? Well, that was 2, so that's right there. And where's that guy hanging on? Just the number. The number on the end is just right here. It's 1. Constant. All right. All right, why don't you try number B? See if you can go on with that one. All right. Let's see if you got it. Ready? Here we go. So I tried to trick you. So, the degree is 7 because you might want to go for that 6. You got to go for what? The 4 plus 3 is 7. Once you got that, you're just looking for that number that's right next to it. 9. Constant term is what? 56. Try the next one. A couple tricks coming up. There's a trick here in C. Okay, you just write these down on a piece of paper. Let's see what you got. All right, so the highest power here is 6. So, it doesn't have to be out on the left. It can be anywhere in the polynomial. So what's the leading coefficient? Oh, it says -1. Oh, kind of tricky here. There's a 1 right in here, right? And it's negative. See, it's negative right there. And then the number hanging on the end is just that 100. Let's try one more. Try number D. Got another trick in here. Tricks are really just special cases that, we're not actually trying to trick you. They're just, aren't included in the general pattern, but they exist. So let's see what the trick here was for this one. Well, the degree is pretty easy. It's just 3 is the degree. And then the 2 is right there. That's easy. What's the constant term? There's nothing hanging out here. I don't see a number. Well, sure, there's a number. What is it? It's 0 is the constant term. So that could be very important to understand that. The constant term is 0 here. A lot of times these constant terms, they affect the y-axis shift on the graph. They're also sometimes called the initial value. When x is 0 in C, then y would be, if I had an equation, would be 100. So they all make a difference when we're talking about equations. All right, so we went over, we had to learn about the constant term. It was just the easiest part. It's just the number, no variable attached to it. And then we had a little quiz here where we practiced to see if we could do that. So, well, it's time for your favorite thing is homework. So you have to practice this. So try doing this at home, write your answers on a piece of paper, save it. We'll probably submit it during the Google Classroom. Hopefully, I don't know if everybody got the email on this. All right, now I can't give you some points, but later on I'll probably be able to give you some. It's not my decision. And you might be able to improve your grade a little bit. But, it's an important decision that some people are still working on. So please try to do these. Save your answers. It's a little complicated here. I made up. That's an L down here. Trying to check. Oh, look, we got some decimals. We put those in there. Put some big numbers. Yeah, so we can do just about anything. All right. Well, thank you very much. Till next time. See you later.